are one state, one person, and we're done being divided. From the hills to the hollers and from Weirton to Welch, it doesn't matter. Whether you're the single mother to a child with autism, like my friend Madeline, fighting your way out of poverty in the depths of hell in Mingo County, or you're the kid from Morgantown, like my business partner Randy, who's in the crowd tonight, who lost both of his parents and lived out of a duffel bag, just trying to survive. Or you're the teen mom from Kanawha County, who lived in her car and stopped at nothing to put food on the table for her child, like me. We all stand in this room today as living proof that when we stand together as one, that we can rise from the ashes and take this country back, and we will. We will stand shoulder to shoulder, and we will not back down until we take back everything that's been stolen from us. Because this is our home, and we're done being lied to. And with that being said, I'm going to introduce you to our next speaker. I made a joke that the speaker list at the Charleston event was pretty much the West Virginia blacklist, because we're not the people that usually give the microphone to. We're the people outside doing the real work. Our next speaker is a force to be reckoned with, hailing from Boone County. And I don't think the whites would even want to go up against Maria Gano. And I have a pleasure to share the stage with her and hand the mic to Maria Gano.
I want you to do me a favor and turn around to the people next to you and say thank you for being here. Thank you. And thank you to the Bernie Sanders team for helping pull this all together. We appreciate it. My name is Maria Gano. I'm a woman of many titles, but I'm really just a girl from a holler in Boone County, West Virginia. In this holler, we're getting ready to celebrate our 75th year on the same land. I've spent 30 years organizing in communities throughout Southern Appalachia. What I've seen would bring the strongest people to their knees. If you want to see more, you can see it at motherjoneswv.org. In the past 30 years, I've witnessed countless communities disappear. They were bought up by the coal industries and the gas industries and demolished and left in ruins. Rural West Virginia is disappearing while nearly everyone looks away. In 2020, the census said that we've lost 3.2% of our population. Our communities are riddled with abandoned mine lands from the past 175 years mining coal. The Abandoned Mine Lands Fund has the potential to put our people back to work, repairing the damage that has been caused to our place to belong. I stand firm on the fact that our communities and our people are owed a future in the place where we all call home. We share a deep love for West Virginia, and that is our common ground. As a child in these mountains, clean water was abundant. Now our water has been left toxic. Our mountains have been blasted and leveled for coal and gas, and our streams and wells have been heavily contaminated. Too many communities in West Virginia have no safe water and no wastewater infrastructure. Even the air is laden with toxic dust. There's no investment. There's not even in our schools. But regardless, we're here, and we matter too. This is not our first battle against fascism and the dirty politics. It's our next. The Trump administration has gutted the only protections we had against rogue industries, and the puppet politicians celebrate. The Republicans did away with the regulation that protected our miners and our communities, and they brag that it's going to be a good thing for industry in the state of West Virginia. What about the people? What about the people? The Republicans celebrated the passage of a bill that makes Medicaid and SNAP assistance that takes Medicaid and SNAP assistance away from some of the poorest, most abandoned and abused people in our country. To be clear, Medicaid covers coal miners that have black lung. How can any West Virginia or Appalachian politician be that cruel? It's beyond me. West Virginia, stand up for each other. Don't let dirty politics divide you. We have historically stood shoulder to shoulder against the carpetbaggers. We have to continue operating. We have to continue this stand in our state. If you don't do it for yourself, do it for the people that comes after us. These billionaire politicians, they've never done anything for the state of West Virginia, and they ain't going to start. Big money and its bought politicians have always helped themselves to the state of West Virginia and our resources, as if the taking were free. Now, with no regulation and no oversight of these industries operating in our state, believe me when I tell you things are about to get much worse. Much worse. West Virginia deserves a future, and we will accept nothing less. This is our state. It don't belong to Joe Manchin. It don't belong to Shelly Moore. It don't belong to Patrick Wilson. This is our state. And together is how we're going to take it back. I'm honored to introduce the next person. I've worked with him a lot in the coal fields. He's a fellow community organizer, and we've worked at times when the crisis was much bigger than any of us. All of us together, the crisis was much bigger than that. And this man stepped up to the plate and done the job. Zach's real. West Virginia has Zach's heart, and the people of West Virginia has the dedication of this representative in Washington, D.C., but we got to get him there. Give it up for the man that's going to take Shelley Moore Capito's seat.
Thank you all so much for being out here today. It shows, it shows the solidarity needed in this state. It shows how much we care and we're all understanding the times we're in. So thank you truly for showing up today. And thank you for also to recognize that you're showing up today, you're standing against fascism, you're standing against racism, and you're standing up for our neighbors being persecuted by ICE across this nation. And thank you for showing solidarity against this clown regime occupying our government. My name is Zach Shrewsbury. I'm a community organizer, activist. I've run for office quite a few times, and I'm the executive director of Blue Jay Rising. But I stand before you not as a politician, but as a man who is tired of watching this country be ruled by corporations. I'm tired of our state being blown apart by barons, and I'm tired of watching our people die at the hands of Big Pharma. So now it's our time to fight, West Virginia. We're the line in the sand. Fascism's here. You can accept it, or you can fight back and make it the end of the oligarchs here. Fight like our history demands. Fight like our ancestors did. Because we are the working class answer to a system that thought we'd be quiet. And we must remember that. Our history denies that. I'm a United States Marine, an organizer, a son of West Virginia, and thanks to Senator Sanders, I get to make this declaration today to show us all that the time has come that we all must lead the charge against fascism. Because we are no longer being governed, we are controlled by cowards in D.C., by billionaires and career politicians, by capitalists who sold us out long ago. They poisoned our rivers, they poisoned our people, they blew apart our mountains, and they laughed when we buried our families. They see West Virginia as a sacrifice zone, a place to extract, pollute, experiment, and abandon. But now we must rise. We must challenge and beat back that corruption with everything we have. Because we are done asking for justice, you're demanding it. You're done begging for power, you're seizing it. This is a working class offensive, and we need leaders in it. But what do the leaders look like? It's you. It's all of you. You're here. Look around you. It's not me. It's not the speaker. It's not Senator Sanders. It's everyone here that can be changed, that can be a leader in this. It's the single mother in Welch working 2 jobs. It's the retired miner fixing a friend's roof for free. It's the high school kid raising his little brother because addiction or the system took their parents from them. That's West Virginia grit. That's leadership. That's who we are. Because we do not quit here in West Virginia. You don't need a title. You don't need thought. You need fire. You need grit. You need purpose. We understand that here. With my organization, Blue Jay Rising, I'm trying to show that it's a model. It's a new system of politics born out of service, solidarity, and struggle. We knock doors with food, not just flyers. We show up with flood relief, not empty promises. We organize not to win power for ourselves, but return to power to the people. And the establishment, your D.C. politicians, the GOP supermajority, let's just say it, they fear it because it works. They fear it because it's real. This is politics, not politics as usual, but politics as survival. From McDowell to Mingo, Boone to Bluefield, we've proven that if you meet people's needs, they'll rise up with you. That's the revolution. That's the future. So we're no longer asking for permission. We're not taking a chance. We're taking the whole thing. We'll not back down. We will not be bought. We will not betray our people. Because this day forward, let them know the working class is a new voice, and it's ours. This is class consciousness, awakening from the holler to the city. It's ours, rising up against the oligarchs. Now I'm going to send a special message to the West Virginia Republican politicians from the State House to the Capitol. Aren't they fun? They're bootlickers, cowards, hot men. They bend the knee to a false king. They pledged loyalty to Donald Trump while our people starved and our kids died from poisoned water and rotten policy. And if you're listening today, if you're in the crowd, you turned your backs on West Virginia. You traded truth for a photo op. You don't speak for us. You lie to us and only speak for your wallets. Donald Trump is a sorry excuse for a man. Pitiful. Pitiful human being. He's not a leader. Shelley Moore Capital, and her feudal family are not leaders. That's right. Hold on, save your boos for the next one. Patrick Morrissey is a failure of a leader. Boo! Boo, Patrick Morrissey. Horrible. They're frauds, bought and paid for. They profit off your labor while they prop their feet on your backs. They've never worked a shift. They've never buried a brother, never earned an honest day's pay. They say they love this country, but they stood with a maid and try to burn the Constitution to the ground. They masquerade as patriots, but I've seen real patriots. I've bled beside them, I've built with them, I've uplifted communities with them, and they are not them. So this is our stand, our moment, our state. We will not be quiet. We will not be broken. We will not be ruled by cowards, billionaires, or kings. Let the Capitol shake. Let the oligarchs run scared. Let the bootlickers scream on Fox News. Because West Virginia is not for sale. The people are rising. We're going to lead the damn charge. This is our declaration. This is our revolution. We are coming. In solidarity with the working class. Organize your communities. Run for office and take back what's yours. Now, it's my honor to introduce someone who stood for working people long before popular do so. A man who doesn't just talk about revolution, he fights for it. So please give a Mountain State welcome to Senator Bernie Sanders.
Charleston. In case you haven't noticed, there are a lot of people here. Let me thank, love you too. Let me thank Whistle and Fish for the music. Let me thank Joanna Vance, Morgan Fowler, Maria Gunno, and Zach Shrewsbury for their comments. So, some of you may be wondering, what is the senator from the great state of Vermont doing in the great state of West Virginia? And I will give you the answer. I happen not to believe in blue state, red state nonsense. In my state, Mr. Trump got, I think, 33% of the vote. In your state, he got 70% of the vote. But you know what? What I have learned and what I believe from the bottom of my heart is whether you're a working class person in Vermont or a working class person here in West Virginia, the issues and the struggles you face are exactly the same. In Vermont, we are struggling with inadequate wages. That's what you are facing here. In Vermont, we're paying some of the highest health care costs in the country. You got a health care crisis here. In Vermont, we can't afford to send our kids to college. Neither can you. We've got environmental problems. You've got environmental problems. So let us not allow the establishment people to divide us up. Not blue state, not red state. Not whether we're black or we're white, whether we're Latino, whether we're gay or whether we are straight, whether we're Muslim. We are one people. And if we stand together, we can do enormous things, because at the end of the day, and I'll talk about this in a moment, the 1% and the oligarchs have enormous wealth and enormous power, and that is true. But while I am not a PhD in mathematics, I do know that 99% is a hell of a lot larger number than 1%. And our job is not to allow them to divide us up. Now, let me just talk a little bit about who I am, and in a sense, why I got involved in politics, why I'm here today. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I grew up to a father who came to this country at the age of 17 without a nickel in his pocket, couldn't speak English, worked hard his whole life, just never made, like most people, a whole lot of money. And we lived in Brooklyn in a rent-controlled apartment. That's the kind of apartments that are available to people who don't have a lot of money. And my mother's dream was that someday we would own a home of our own. She died young, and we never achieved that dream. And when I look back on my childhood and the events that shaped my life, it's not that we didn't have enough to eat, we did. It's the kind of stress and arguments that my parents went through. I think, when you're kids and you hear your parents arguing, it tears you apart. And that's what happened in my household, and it was always about money. We don't have enough money to do this. My mom wanted to do that. We can't do this. And what I learned then and what I know now is that there are tens of millions of families in our country today who are dealing with that exact type of stress. And what our job has got to be is to understand that we are living not in a poor country. If we were living in a poor country, I would give you a certain speech. We are living in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. And there is no excuse that in this country today, 60% of Americans, probably more here in West Virginia, are living paycheck to paycheck. So let me tell you a little bit what you're not going to see on corporate media, and you're not going to hear on the floor of the Senate or the House. And that is, right now in America, we have more income and wealth inequality than we have ever had in the history of America. Today in America, if you can believe it, and it really is quite unbelievable, and I think a lot of folks don't believe it, but the truth is that you got one man, Mr. Musk, who owns more wealth than the bottom 52% of American households. You got the top 1% owning more wealth than the bottom 93%. You got CEOs of major corporations making 350 times what their workers make. There was just a piece in the paper, I think it was the Washington Post the other day, there's a big competition going on in Palm Beach, Florida, where these zillionaires are buying, this waterfront property and building homes for tens and tens of millions of dollars. So the bottom line is that the people on top today are making money hand over fist. They don't know what to do with their money. Jeff Bezos, the second wealthiest guy in the world, had a nice little wedding in Venice. And he wanted to give his new wife a nice little gift. He gave her a $5 million ring. Guy owns 14 homes. These guys are incredibly wealthy, but what is driving them and what is going to destroy this country unless we turn it around is their incredible greed. They are very religious people, and greed is their religion. They worship on the altar of money. And I got to tell you, they are not nice guys. They could care less about what they are doing to ordinary Americans. So that is one reality. People on top with enormous economic power, enormous wealth. Today in America, we have more concentration of ownership than we have ever seen. You know why prices are high? Because in sector after sector, you got 3 or 4 major corporations controlling what is produced and the prices you pay. These guys have not only enormous economic power, but what is even more dangerous is they now have incredible political power. So let me tell you what I think you already know. And that is the current campaign finance system in America is totally corrupt. So what does it mean? It means that as a result of this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision, billionaires are now able to spend as much money as they want on an election. Got it? So you can run for office, but they can spend hundreds of millions of dollars against you. Elon Musk himself put in some $270 million to elect Donald Trump. Does anybody think that that is vaguely what democracy is supposed to be about? And Musk's reward, of course, was that he was given the most powerful position in government for a few months, where he exercised his right-wing extremist views through tens of thousands of federal employees off of their jobs, helped break the federal employees union, and took funding away from USAID, which keeps millions of starving and desperate people around the world alive. But what their political power is about is not just Mr. Musk and the Republican Party, it is also true in the Democratic Party. And I want to give you just one example, and I could give you many. In my view, Kamala Harris should have won this election. And in my view, the reason that she did not win the election is she was surrounded by a lot of moneyed people who told her not to speak out strongly on behalf of the working class of this country. But I'll give you another example, because it's not just when you talk about money in politics, It is not just campaigns. It deals with the legislation that I vote on every day. I'll give you 2 examples. Trump's big, beautiful bill is, in my opinion, the worst and most dangerous piece of legislation passed in the modern history of this country. It is going to be a disaster for the country, and especially for working class states like West Virginia. It is going to be horrific. You are going to see tens and tens of thousands of people who are now on Medicaid lose their benefits. You are going to see many people who use the Affordable Care Act pay significantly higher rates. You're going to see kids who are hungry go without the food that they need, kids who want to get an education not being able to do that. Now, where did all of those savings go in terms of cutting Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, nutrition, education? They went for massive tax breaks for Trump's wealthy, oligarchic campaign contributors. How disgraceful. Shame is the right word. We can argue about policy, but I don't think there are too many people in America who think it is a good idea to take food from the mouths of hungry kids, take health care away from working class people, and then give those savings in tax breaks to billionaires and large corporations. But that is exactly what Trump did. And that is exactly what wealthy campaign contributors wanted. They paid for that. Now that's one thing. Let me give you another example, different issue. In my view, and I've led the effort in this direction, I think what is going on in Gaza now is absolutely horrific. What is going on now, what has gone on in the last period of time is not just the killing of 60,000 people, a majority of whom were women, children, and the elderly. Not just the wounding and injuring of 140,000 people, most of whom women, children, and the elderly. Not just the complete destruction of the infrastructure of Gaza, their schools, their universities, their healthcare systems, their water systems, their housing, not just that. And right now what is going on is the starvation of children in Gaza, the starvation. Now, I took the lead on this, and I introduced legislation that would stop funding Netanyahu's war machine. And I did that on a number of occasions. And I'm happy to tell you that we have seen a significant growth in the number of Democrats who are now voting, a significant majority against funding of Netanyahu's war machine. But one of the problems, but also I want to say that we did not, in the last vote, we got 27 votes, we did not get one Republican. In my view, Republicans in West Virginia and throughout this country do not want to spend billions of dollars to fund the starvation of children in Gaza. And I would hope that Republicans stand up and tell their members of Congress there are a lot better things we could do with our money than starve children. But the point that I'm making here is that one of the reasons we have had so much opposition to stop the funding of the Israel war machine is not that people in Congress don't know what's going on. They do. But if they stand up and say, wait a minute, I don't want to starve children, on the next day you'll have super PACs like AIPAC saying we're going to run against you and spend unlimited amounts of money. In terms of Trump's big, beautiful bill, you may recall there was a senator, Republican senator from North Carolina, Tom Tillis is his name. And Tillis made the mistake of actually reading the bill. And he saw that it would be devastating to North Carolina. He saw it. And he said, you know what? I can't vote for this bill. That's what he announced. Literally the next day, the Trump world started blasting him. Billionaires were saying, we're going to spend whatever it takes to defeat you. Day later, Tillis said, I'm out of here. I'm not running for re-election. So what you got is a campaign finance system in which the billionaires call the tunes and members of Congress follow in suit. The most important political change that we can make in this country is to overturn this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision. I want people, working people, low-income people, to be able to run for office, not having to beg billionaires for money. I want an election. I want to see elections where what matters is a clash of ideas. You disagree with me? Great, come on up, run against me. Let's argue your ideas versus my ideas. That is called democracy. Let us not have what we have now, is super PACs putting zillions of dollars into these ugly 30-second TV ads. That is not democracy. But our job now, brothers and sisters, is not just to take on Trump's ugly and dangerous agenda. His agenda is not only tax breaks for the rich and cuts in programs for working people. As I'm sure everybody here knows, in a very frightening way, he is moving us toward an authoritarian society. He is usurping the powers of Congress. He is challenging the responsibilities of the courts. He is suing the media. He is trying to undermine universities and law firms throughout this country. And what I say to Mr. Trump is too many people in Vermont and West Virginia have put their lives on the line and sometimes died to defend our democracy. We're not going to let them take that away from us. Now, Trump is, his politics, his style of politics is new to America, but it is not new to the world. He is playing the same old playbook that demagogues have always used. And what is the essence of what demagogues do? What they do is they pick on minorities, often powerless minorities, and they blame those minorities for all the problems that people are experiencing. In our country, it used to be blacks, used to be gays. In Europe, it was Jews, it was gypsies. You pick your minority group, they're powerless, and then you blame them for all of the problems society is facing. Today, the targets are primarily undocumented people and the trans community. So what Trump does, and I was there, it was a remarkable thing. I don't know if any of you recall it. I do, because I was there at his State of the Union speech. This guy went on, wrote the longest State of the Union speech ever given. It was 100 minutes. He forgot to talk about the healthcare crisis, forgot to talk about the education crisis, forgot to talk about the climate crisis, forgot to talk about virtually every major issue facing the American people. But what did he talk about? He talked about undocumented people, and he lied, and he lied, and he lied. So this is what I want to say, okay? This is what demagogues always do. You got a housing problem, you got a healthcare problem, you're not making enough money, your kids can't go to college. You know whose fault it is? It's all the undocumented. And we are going to come together to hate the undocumented, and then we forget about the oligarchs and the people who have the wealth and the power. That's the oldest trick in the book. Trump didn't invent it. That's what they always do. And our job is to do exactly the opposite. Now, let me give you some examples. I get around the country a lot, and I ask people a simple question. I'm going to ask it to you right now. Does the American healthcare system work? That is exactly the response I get to every audience I talk to. So here's what you got in healthcare. You got a situation where we spend, as a nation, almost double what every other nation on earth spends. You got that? We are spending the insane amount of $14,000 a year for every man, woman, and child. When you spend that kind of money, we should have the best healthcare system in the world by far. Well, we don't. According to all of the studies, despite all the money we spend, we have one of the worst systems. And the reason for that is the function of the American healthcare system today is not to provide quality for everybody. The function is to make a whole lot of money for the insurance companies and the drug companies. So when we go forward, and I don't care whether you're a conservative Republican or a progressive, the vast majority of the American people understand that health care is a human right, not a privilege. And what I want you to understand, and what I want you to understand, and I think a lot of people around the country don't understand, this is not a radical idea. This exists in virtually every other major country on earth. I live 50 miles away from the Canadian border. You end up in a hospital in Canada for a month. You know what the bill is when you come out? Zero. They spend far less per capita than we spend. So our job together is to take on the greed of the insurance companies and the greed of the drug companies, who, by the way, charge us by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. We got to take them on and move to a Medicare for all single-payer system. And I want you all just to think for a minute what it will mean to working people all over this country to understand that when you get sick, or your mom gets sick, or your kids get sick, you don't have to worry about how you're going to pay the bill. You go to the doctor when you need to go to the doctor. And by the way, when we talk about healthcare workforce, we need to substantially increase the number of doctors we have, the number of nurses we have, the number of dentists that we have, the number of mental health counselors that we have. This is a system broken from top to bottom, only designed to make the drug companies, the insurance companies richer, and we have got to change that. And again, we can do that, in terms of healthcare, we don't even have to spend any more money because the system is so bureaucratic and wasteful that spending the same amount can cover all of our people. In terms of education, let's talk about education for a second. Education is the foundation of a vibrant democracy, and in a competitive global economy, we need the best educated workforce in the world. So what do we got today? Let's look at education in the richest country in the world, where the billionaires are doing phenomenally well. Start off, anybody here have little kids in childcare? Yeah. Okay. Cost of child care is off the roof. In Vermont, maybe $20,000, $25,000 a year. And meanwhile, the teachers, the instructors in child care are paid starvation wages. Okay? So think about it. If we understand what every psychologist will tell you, that the ages of 0 through 4 are the most important years of human development, intellectually and emotionally, right? And if we believe, all these people, they love America. Well, if you love America, you love the future of America, you love the children of America. They are our future. And we should love them and cherish them. And that means, among other things, we should not have the highest rate of childhood poverty of any major country on earth. We should not have kids going to bed hungry at night, and we should have a first-class child care system. And if you want, here's another story. When you talk about America, there was a time, decades ago, when America led the world. We were the best educated country on earth. No longer the case. We had a higher percentage of our people getting a college degree than any other country. No longer the case. Right now, if you are the son or daughter of a working class person, you got to think twice about whether you even want to go to college. Because you got to come out $50,000, $100,000 in debt. You want to become a doctor in America? Guess what? You're going to come out $500,000 in debt. A nurse, $150,000 in debt. Meanwhile, we need doctors, we need nurses, we need people in the construction industry to help us rebuild our broken infrastructure and to help us move to sustainable energy. So, for the sake of the future of this country, we have got to make sure that every child in America gets the best education he or she can, regardless of their income. And once again, it is not a radical idea to say that we should make public colleges and universities tuition free. And I'm happy to say that there are some states beginning to move in that direction. What our dream is, our vision is that every kid, no matter how poor, understands that if he or she does their schoolwork well, is disciplined, studies hard, they will be able to get a college degree or go to a good trade school or whatever. So in America today, again, richest country on earth, rich doing phenomenally well, healthcare system is broken, educational system in deep trouble. What are the basic necessities that people need? Well, last I heard, most of us need a roof over our heads. We need decent housing. In America today, 800,000 of our people are homeless, and 20 million households are spending half of their limited incomes on housing. Think about that. You're spending 50% of your income on housing. How do you have money for anything else? You don't. So why in the richest country on earth are we not building millions of units of low-income and affordable housing? In Trump's big, terrible bill, not only do we cut Medicaid, etc., we also put another $150 billion into the military. We now spend more than the next 10 nations below us combined on military spending. Maybe instead of building tanks and guns, maybe we should build low-income and affordable housing. And when we talk about where we are as a nation today, here is a reality that everybody understands. And that is that over the last 50 years, I want you to think back, 50 years, there's been a huge explosion in technology, right? And every worker in this room is far more productive than the person who had a similar type job 50 years ago, okay? One might think that when we are seeing increased worker productivity, workers would be making a lot more income, right? Here is the truth. And this is really quite an unbelievable reality. It's not discussed enough. But over the last 50 years, real income accounted for weekly wages for workers are actually lower today than they were 50 years ago. Can you believe that? So workers are producing much more, and yet in real inflation accounted for dollars, they're earning less. And a study came out a couple of years ago from the Rand Corporation, and it said that during that period of time, there was a $75 trillion redistribution of wealth from the bottom 90% to the top 1%. Got it? So that's what's going on. What we're seeing is workers are working long hours, they're more productive, they're going nowhere in a hurry, and meanwhile the people on top are getting all the wealth and almost all of the income. So what do we got to do about that? There are a couple of things. First of all, the good news is that all over this country, workers want to join unions. And this morning I had the honor, we were in Mingo County, and we went to the museum in Mattawan. I don't know if any of you have been there. And you have a hell of a history here of union struggle in West Virginia. And what the mine workers and the others have done has had an impact on the labor movement all over this country. But right now, despite the fact that workers want to join unions, very often they can't because their companies are acting illegally in preventing them from forming a union. And that's why we've got to pass a piece of legislation introduced called the PRO Act, which would punish any corporation that acted against workers' legal right to form a union. What's the minimum wage here in West Virginia? $8.75 an hour. Anybody live on $8.75 an hour? All right, you got to raise the minimum wage nationally to at least $17 an hour. We are one of only a very few countries around the world, including poor countries, that don't guarantee paid family and medical leave. Mothers should not have to make the choice about whether or not they stay home with their sick kids or get fired. So we've got to put that on our working class agenda. We've got to guarantee paid family and medical leave and sick leave to every worker in America. Now, I didn't know this until a couple of years ago when I studied this and when I became chairman of the Health Education Labor Committee. It turns out, really, again, all of this stuff is so astounding given that we are such a wealthy country. It turns out that over 20% of seniors in America are trying to survive on $15,000 a year or less. Got that? Half of seniors are trying to get by on $30,000 a year or less. And then you got people out there who are trying to undermine Social Security and cut Social Security. We're not going to cut Social Security. We're going to expand Social Security. And the way you do that is not hard. Right now, somebody makes $10 million a year, they pay the same amount into the Social Security Trust Fund. Somebody makes $176,000. We're going to lift that cap and ask those folks to start putting the money into the system. Trump and his friends want to lay tens of thousands of workers off from the Veterans Administration. We don't. We're going to expand veterans' benefits, expand the health care, and get more doctors and nurses into the Veterans Administration, not lay off thousands of workers there. When Trump ran for president, he kind of pretended that he was a friend of working families. So I want to just say to those folks in West Virginia or Vermont who may have listened to Trump, you know, he gave long speeches and went on and on. Let me tell you what he did not talk about during his campaign. In fact, what he did. I don't recall that during his campaign when he asked for your vote, he didn't tell you that he was going to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the top 1%. Anyone hear him say that? $900 billion in tax breaks to large, profitable corporations? I didn't hear that. Trump did not tell the American people, hey, elect me president, and we're going to throw 15 million people off of Medicaid and raise insurance rates for those people on the Affordable Care Act. Could have missed it. I don't think he said that. Trump did not campaign on telling people in West Virginia or Vermont that with these cuts in Medicaid, we're going to be losing rural hospitals, more pressure on community health centers. I don't think he told us that. He didn't tell us that he was going to double, or in some cases triple monthly student loan payments. Forgot to tell you that, right? So, you know, Trump campaigned on a lot of things, but what he ends up doing is not what he said he would do in terms of the most important issues facing our country. So, brothers and sisters, we are where we are right now. We are in an economy which is doing phenomenally well for the rich, while the middle class and working class and low-income people are struggling. We are living in an economy where our healthcare system is broken, our education system is in very deep trouble. Where all over this country we are facing environmental problems because of climate change. I just flew in from Vermont the other day. And in Vermont right now we're breathing filthy air which comes from Canadian wildfires. And we're going to see those kind of wildfires. We're seeing drought. We're seeing flooding. You've had flooding here in West Virginia. We've had it in Vermont. You're going to see heat waves taking place in Europe and all over the world. And we have got to recognize, unlike Trump, that climate change is real. So, I'm not going to kid you. I'm going to tell you what you, I think, know. This is an unprecedented moment in the modern history of this country. We are in deep trouble. But I will also remind you that this is not the first time in American history where we have faced very, very difficult situations. And it's important to remember that, because I think sometimes people get overwhelmed. Oh, we can't take on the oligarchs. We can't create a decent life for working families. Just you think back in American history. I don't mean to be overly romantic here, but think back when this country was first formed. You got a small number of people taking on the entire British Empire. You know what? They stood up and they fought back and they won. It wasn't easy. You think about the struggle against the abomination of slavery and how many people in the 1830s, 1840s, 1850s, all over the country stood up and said, you know, slavery is not what America can tolerate. We've got to get rid of it. And they were ridiculed, they were beaten, they were killed. And a terrible, terrible civil war took place. Hundreds of thousands of people died. We ended slavery. And then came the Jim Crow era of segregation in the South. And you have people like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and others. And millions of people, black and white, rallied and said, you know what? We're not going to accept apartheid in the United States of America. We fought that fight and we won that fight. You think about the position of women in American society. I can remember not so many years ago, a few decades ago, there was one woman in the United States Senate. And for decades, way back when, women fought, sometimes died, went to jail, went on hunger strikes to demand not only the right for women to vote, but to break down all of the sexist barriers that women faced. And we're still fighting that fight, but we've won major victories. When I was a kid growing up, there was nobody, no kid that I know who acknowledged being gay. And people suffered as a result of that. We have come a long way where people understand that people have a right to their sexual orientation. "30, 40 years ago, nobody would have imagined we'd have a black president. Nobody would imagine that we would have gay marriage in America. But we prevailed. People mobilized, they organized, they stood up for justice, and they won. So I'm not going to tell you that the struggle against the oligarchs is easy. It is not. I know these guys. They have unlimited. You don't know what the word unlimited is. You know, you think of money in a certain way. Do I have $10 to this? Should I go out and do that? Money is for them a whole different world. $1 million means nothing. That's chump change. Hundreds of millions don't mean anything. Hey, you're running for office? I'll support you. Here's $100 million. Doesn't mean anything to them. They got unlimited amounts of money. They own the media. They control both political parties to a significant degree. They got a lot of power. But our job is not to hide under the covers. Our job is not to say, oh my God, there's nothing we can do. That is exactly what they want you to do. They want you to feel powerless. But you are not powerless. When we stand together, and that's what the trade union movement has taught us, when we stand together, we win. And I can also tell you, having been to every state in this country, that the agenda that we fight for, demanding that the rich start paying their fair share of taxes. Health care is a human right. Raising the minimum wage, paid family and medical leave, making college available to all regardless of income. These are not radical ideas. They're supported by the majority of Americans in this country. In West Virginia, you have a unique role to play, and I mean this sincerely. This is a working class state. That is what you are. And your job right now is to bring people together, to make it clear that every person in West Virginia, Vermont, and all over this country deserves a decent standard of living, that you deserve a vibrant democracy. So brothers and sisters, we got a lot of work to do. Let us not go backward in fear. Let us go forward. Let us take on the oligarchs. Let us win this thing. Thank you very much.
कभी लाइट बंद करो, कभी दोस्त मत बुलाओ और हर महीने वही डांट। बेटा, रेंट जल्दी दे दो। जब घर अपना तो सुकून भी अपना। इसीलिए पूरा कीजिए अपने घर का सपना विद PNB होम लोन्स। सिर्फ 7.45% इंटरेस्ट से शुरू और EMI सिर्फ 696 रुपीस प्रति लाख से। और जानकारी के लिए गिव अ मिस्ड कॉल ऑन 1-800-180-8888 और अप्लाई ऑनलाइन। लोअर EMIs, more happiness. शर्तें लागू।
Notice there are a lot of people here. Let me love you too. Let me thank Whistle and Fish for the music. Let me thank Joanna Vance, Morgan Fowler, Maria Gunno, and Zach Shrewsbury for their comments. So, some of you may